We would like to take a moment of silence for Tyrese Haliburton and the catastrophe that was Sunday. I mean, the man didn't die, but
Yeah, he didn't. He's still
uh,
very much alive and
he's
well.
still very much alive. Everyone knows he's still alive. If you listen to us, you probably watch some you've heard about it. 5 minutes and 7 minutes into Game 7 of the
Yeah,
NBA Finals, he blew his Achilles in what was shaping up to be an excellent game. And
yeah,
for my money, that's the worst injury I've ever seen, live at least.
yeah. Given the stakes, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that came close to that, like just thinking off the top of my head right now, is probably OBJ tearing his ACL in the Super Bowl right before halftime when he was about to win Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, but like nothing like that.
Yeah,
I we're talking about Game 7 of the NBA Finals. You're
yeah.
down by two
One shot.
points, and
He was
it's the way
already
he
on
knew
one
right
wheel.
away.
He did
Which,
before
by
he
the
even
way,
hit the ground.
shout out to the production truck at ESPN. They got some great content, great shots out of it. We've been hard on ESPN these playoffs. They nailed it
Yeah,
because they caught like the camera caught him screaming no and saying I did
yeah,
it. And
yeah.
I'll just say like for me, what that told me is that he knew. Um,
He was probably gonna tear it.
he knew like the way he said I did it to his trainer. Obviously, I don't know these people. I don't have any inside information, but it
Right.
leads me to believe that someone sat him down and was like, "Look, these scans are not great,
Yeah.
and you're really pushing it." And like, I get that it's Game 6 and it's Game 7, but I would be derelict in my duty if I didn't tell
If
you
I didn't tell you,
that
yeah.
this is tough. And he was just like, "I don't care."
Yeah, championship on the line. I respect his
What are we
toughness
doing
and
this for?
yeah, and I respect him putting out for his team too. Because
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of players act like they would do that, but I think a lot of players, there are a lot of players, more players than we think would not do make that sacrifice.
absolutely not. I'm missing a light. Sorry.
Oh no, you're
Um,
getting same. I'm getting my shit right now too.
so
Um,
yeah, it's just the way he fell, and I
yep,
like I just I saw when he slapped the floor. Like he wasn't in
yep.
pain, he was just
He was
emotionally
sad.
devastated.
Yeah,
Because he knew
yeah.
someone told him these scans aren't great. You're pushing
It's a wrap. It's probably a
it.
wrap. Like get through this game if you can, to avoid any further injury. But
He
yeah, that
just
shit was
knew
heartbreaking because
I'm sure he told himself 48 minutes and I can sit
just
on this
yeah,
pitch all summer. Like
yeah,
like but I can't not play. It's just not
yeah,
it's just not. It's not a thing.
yeah.
Um Especially after he looked good in Game 6. They blew him out.
Hmm.
But he didn't have any lift. And he just knew.
No, not at all.
He just knew.
That shit sucked, man. It was heartbreaking. See, when they cut to his dad was crying.
Yeah.
His girlfriend posted a picture on her story, I think today, of like the moment of him in the locker room. I don't know if you saw the picture.
I have
He's like
not
in the
know.
locker room, sitting on the table, and he's like bawling like this, and she's just like trying to comfort him as best she can. That shit was sad as fuck, man. And you could see it pop through his sock. Like I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw any of the zoom ins on it. That shit looked gruesome right away. The athletes always say it feels like you got kicked in the back of the leg. You know, yeah, that shit was sad to see. Ruin what I thought was going to be like he looked like he was about to go the fuck in. He looked like he was
Yeah.
going to have himself a night.
He hit three
Um,
threes like from fucking Jupiter.
yeah, I was like, oh, he going off on these Knicks today. We might
And
have a different
you know,
conversation on Monday if
I mean, win, lose, or
things went
draw,
differently.
he gave it a go.
He did.
And it just I that's literally the worst. I mean, if he plays all the game and they lose
Yeah,
on a last second shot, it's still not worse than what we saw. Like
correct.
that's disgusting.
Yeah, yeah, man.
But congrats to OKC, worthy champions.
Yeah,
They'll that's a squad over there. They're still loaded. Chet's gonna get better.
still got a
He
first round pick.
still got first round pick. And like they're the champions, and it does suck
Yeah,
for them that this is all anyone talks about, but that's what I was focused on. I mean,
that's
I
what
don't I
happens.
don't want to
Yeah,
tell you the story is a story.
I thought about
Um,
turning the game off, to be honest with you. I thought about turning it off.
nah, I would never do
If they
that.
hadn't held on in the first half, I probably would have went and I was gonna go to the gym early that night. I really thought I was like, oh, it's over. They're about to get their doors blown off. But they fought like hell in that game.
Well, I like to
Um,
see the championship celebration, so I never,
Me too.
even if
Me
it's a
too.
blowout, especially for a first one. So
Yeah.
not my favorite team in the world, but they they
Yeah.
they won 20, they won 40 games 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and then won 57 last year at 68 this year.
Hmm.
That's a worthy champion. So congrats to
Yeah, they're
Oklahoma
worthy
City,
champions.
and
Hats
we'll see
off
them
to
next
them.
year.
Congrats to
Uh,
The city of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yeah, this team, I just find them. I don't know what it is. I just find them very unlikable. I thought it was just me, but all of Twitter was like, "Yeah, fuck these." Fuck these
It's
niggas.
it's a thinly veiled way of saying you don't find them attractive. Like that's all it is. That's all it is. Like
No,
it's
it ain't
just
even. I just like they're interviewing
it's
SGA and he's doing like the two's cool for school shit. You know what I'm
I
saying in the
don't like
interviews.
I do
That
find it bizarre that like there's not a
him and
single
Joker,
compelling moment
it was very weird.
after the championship that there's like nothing to I mean
Nothing memorable
yeah I mean I just don't like all these foreigners in the NBA period. So then he was at the fucking parade in a Canadian
with
flag
the
and it's
Canadian
just like
flag.
you know what they pay to play basketball in Canada? The
Nothing.
highest
No, I
graded
don't know. What do they
Canadian
play?
league,
What do they pay?
$1,500 a game. You
Really?
want to wear that flag? Go the fuck back there and play for that then. We don't need you. Like, do you think the NBA is going to collapse if Shea leaves tomorrow?
Nah, not at all. It'll move on. Okay, so
Take
it'll
your
be
bum
fucked,
ass
but
back
it'll
to your
move on.
shitty country and play for $1,500 a night. What the fuck are you here for if you hate it being here so bad? Someone explain it to me.
Yeah, I don't get it.
You're
I
gonna
mean, I
wear a
get national
Canadian
country
flag to
pride, but
celebrate a championship
it's
in the
nothing to.
United
It has
States of
nothing to do.
America?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with this with what you just accomplished at
You
all.
wanted to come here. You could have stayed there. We would never
You
know
went to
you existed.
college here.
You went to
Yeah, I don't
college
get
here.
it.
You make your money based off of the infrastructure that American players built for you.
For you,
And you want to
yeah.
wear another flag at the championship. They lucky I don't run the NBA because I wouldn't even allow it. And if I were to
Yeah,
allow it, I'd make
it
them
was the
like
most
if I'm Adam
sanitized and
Silver,
unclimactic celebration I think I've ever seen.
they lucky I don't run the NBA because if I'm Adam Silver, I'm
Yeah.
stopping the parade. Take that shit off. Fuck are you? Fuck out of here. I'll fucking suspend you for life tomorrow if you don't take
But you
that
know
shit
what? I
off.
remember when the Spurs beat the Heat in 2014, because the Spurs were like pretty much all damn near all international team.
Yeah.
They all had their flags out too. So I mean, whatever. But
I tweeted
um,
because I think Shea was winning in like game 4 or something, and I looked it
yeah,
up, and Shea is here on a work visa, so I tweeted Donald Trump could do the funniest shit ever.
that actually would be funny.
Revoke his visa tomorrow. Like
That
fuck
would
that.
be
We don't let these
hilarious.
foreigners run our leagues. You're here on a work visa, which is totally at the discretion of the
Right.
Secretary of State, so he can revoke that shit. He's not a citizen.
No,
Uh,
so for me with Pittsburgh, I tweeted it's crazy that we went from any KG screaming anything is possible and
yeah,
LeBron screaming Cleveland this is for you to him just being like, yeah, we worked hard
yeah.
with a straight face like just
Well, you know what that is? It's the sort of suburbanization, upper middle
correct.
class
Yes.
professionalization of sports. Like Shay's probably been a pro since he was 8 years old. Well, not eight,
Right.
but since the eighth grade, probably.
Yeah.
And, it's just the culture of youth sports and AAU and the earlier we professionalize it, the more we remove we professionalize the players, remove the personality from them. So,
Yeah.
like, especially now, I think it's like the number 2 pick in the draft, Harper, is Ron
Hmm.
Harper's kid.
Yeah.
Like Carmelo Anthony's kid and Gilbert Arenas' kid are top recruits.
Yep.
LeBron's second kid is another recruit. It's like the NBA
Yep.
is just going to be a nepo league, like sooner or
Yeah.
later, which makes sense because it's like when there's such a height
Genetics.
requirement, it's just
Yeah.
genetics. But it's just like when you have a league full of rich kids, like that's just not as compelling as a league full of Zach Randolphs and Allen
Yeah. And kids
Iversons
who
and
got at the
Rasheed
mud.
Wallaces and
LeBron James,
LeBron
yeah.
James. Like really,
D
that's the
Wade,
last.
Melo.
I mean,
Yeah.
the two most compelling players in the league is our Ant and Ja, and that's because they weren't part of the professionalization of the league at such an early age. Like Ja went to
Right.
some like he wasn't really a pro prospect until his freshman year of college.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and he went to some Murray State or some shitty.
Murray State. Yeah.
I
He went
don't
to a super
know. I
small
don't know if it's
school.
a shitty. I've never been there,
Um,
but not a
yeah.
prominent basketball program. I don't
Right.
know about the
Correct.
academics of the school.
Yeah.
And Ant went to Georgia, which is a
Georgia. Yeah.
pretty big sports school. But like by then,
But it's not a basketball school.
he's not a product of the AAU circuit.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I'm still gonna watch, but it's a less compelling
Yeah.
league when it's just a bunch of suburban kids.
That's true. And yeah, did you see hear about the bottles in the locker room celebration?
Okay, so but like let me stall them out a little bit. They were drinking
You
the
went to
next
college.
day.
You went to college and you didn't know how to pop a bottle.
I
I don't
don't
know. That's
believe him.
crazy.
Like the next
That's
day,
I don't believe it. That's crazy.
the
They
next
said they
day,
had mad
Jalen Williams was
unopened
posting
bottles.
1942. I think they're just rich and don't drink shitty beer and dollar store champagne. Because like the next day they
Probably.
were posting 1942 on
Yeah.
the stories. So I think that one, they were fronting a little bit. Like, there's no way these dudes haven't had a drink
Don't
of alcohol
drink.
yet. And
Right.
two, I think the quality of the alcohol did not meet their advanced palates.
Probably. Yeah.
We drink Coors Light, but like these dudes,
Yeah.
you know, it wouldn't shock me at all
Yeah.
if they don't drink beer because beer is particularly bad for you if you're, a high-end
Especially if you're a
athlete. But they
ball
drink.
player.
They
Yeah.
they drink
Yeah.
champagne
Some
and liquor for sure.
there there's a tweet somebody said uh they were like, I'd rather have this than unopened bottles in the locker room, and a video of Chris Bosh in the locker room with
Yeah.
the bar.
You know, the video, like, there's always these still pictures that are just not great. They're not.
Yeah,
But the full context of the
the
video
video
is a
is
bit
normal.
more favorable, but it's still
Yes.
bizarre to have grown men pouring champagne in your mouth. Like, it's weird. We need to get some girls in here. Because
Yo, yo, Chris Bosh was like the original Karl Anthony Towns, like in terms of just the slander that he caught when he was in the league.
yeah, which I feel bad because like he was 20 and 10 before the big three
Yeah,
in
he was a
Miami.
stand-up dude, and he could fucking ball. He was ahead
Yeah,
of his time. He'd be a monster today with the stretch fours, the stretch fives, and all the spacing now.
he was really, I won't say the first because Dirk came before him, but he was one
Yeah,
of the original 6'11" dudes who could stretch the floor and protect the rim. So,
correct. Yeah.
now that's all the rave. That's the whole reason Shed's in the league. So,
Yep, literally. Yeah, did you see that tweet? Somebody was like, who would beat they said that the 2025 Thunder would beat the 2012 Heat. I was like, they would lose in 3 games. Miami would do unspeakable damage to that team.
no,
Uh,
so who wrote? I mean, someone under the age of 25 had to type that because
I would assume so.
you really had to be there to understand what 28-year-old LeBron James was.
Yeah, bro.
He
Yeah, these
was
kids today don't understand. They
he
don't get it.
was he was the most athletic person in the league, the 6'8", the best defender in the league, and he had 3-point
Yes.
range,
And the best passer.
and the best passer, and the best thinker, and he had a handle.
Yeah,
He was like, you just had to, and like you can't even look at the stats because the pace of the game was slower. And
correct.
like, keep in mind, that first year they were starting like Joel Anthony at center,
Yeah.
and
And
which is
Carlos
just
Arroyo
you're
was the starting
basically
point
playing
guard.
four people. If you're starting Joel
Yeah.
Anthony, you're playing four on
Yeah,
five.
bro. Like they had no center. And they had no point guard.
Yeah, and so they went and got Mike Miller, and then
Yeah.
Mario Chalmers grew into himself, and then they just started Bosh at
Yeah,
the
Shane
five,
Battier. They
and
got Shane
Shane
Battier the next
Battier.
year
Like, it took them a year to get their feet
to really
under
get it.
them, and they made the finals that first year. Like,
Right.
it's like it just became like there was like I think Jordan won the MVP in '96, and then Malone won it in '97 and '98 just because people were
Yeah.
tired of giving it to Jordan. Like, LeBron should have
Correct.
won like 5 straight MVPs. Like, he was the
Yeah.
best player in the NBA from, I would say, 2008
To
till,
like 2021, 2022.
I wouldn't go that far. I would say
At least I'd say 2021.
I don't think he was better than Pete Curry.
Because remember they won in 2020 and he made that.
You're freezing. No, no, you're here.
Wait, you said you don't think he was better than Pete Curry?
No, no.
What?
I would say
I think defense
22.
matters. Yeah, let's go into the trades. Feels like
So
every
we,
hour there's a new trade.
yeah, which just I hate the way that no one cares about the actual games being played. But Kevin Durant is a Rocket.
Yep.
Uh, they didn't give up much at all for him.
Nope.
So
Yeah,
like,
he fucked Team Phoenix all to hell.
well, so that's the thing. It's like, why don't teams keep signing up for the Kevin Durant experience? I don't get it.
I
Like,
don't understand.
the past two teams have ended in like calamity, and he's been the best player on both of those
Yeah.
teams, and you just can't tell me those two things aren't correlated. Like, um, he didn't make
Correct.
the
They either didn't make the
playoffs last
playoffs or got
year.
mocked in the first round.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's in Phoenix. Like, 2.5 years. He's been on this is third team in 2.5 years. The guy is never happy.
Yep.
He's only ever happy for the first 6 months of anything. And you're gonna put him in. I get it why Houston would
Right.
want to do that, but you're just playing with fire.
Yeah, because
And
they need to go to score.
but like, he's 37 years old. He's gonna want a contract extension for a gajillion dollars. And if you don't give it to him, he's gonna
Hmm.
pout basically. He's always injured.
Yeah.
Ever since the Achilles, he's
He's
missing
up for
30
2
games
years,
a year.
120 million.
I just don't understand why.
True.
Generally speaking, I think NBA front offices and NBA fans are too attached to old players. I looked at that finals that the finals game that the finals series we just watched the whole series. And it's like Kevin Durant could not stay on that. He cannot run with
Yeah.
those dudes. He just couldn't. He's just no. Those dudes are running up and down the court. Like
No.
there's a frenzy pace. They're jumping up and
Yeah.
down, and he's just not. He wouldn't be able to. I mean, he'd play because he's Kevin Durant, but like you're not winning if he's your
Right.
best player against either of those teams. You're just not.
Hell no. uh,
You're on a bit of
yeah.
delay.
For one, his greatest weapon is considered inefficient by the metrics, the mid-range jumper, which is effective still. I'm not one of those people who is like fuck the mid-range. But I mean, and also just I don't think KD ever, not to simplify to like KD LeBron but as a point of reference, KD never really impacted winning to the degree that people thought he did. I think him going to Golden State reverse engineered the way people viewed him in terms of how he impacted winning because of the way they collapsed against Cleveland. And I just think like yeah, he's a one of the generational players of all time, one of the great players of all time we'll ever see. We'll never see anything like him ever again. But I don't think he's kind of gotten carried. You can build a team. You can't build a team anymore. He's older now, and I don't know that he was ever really the guy you could build a championship around anyway, to be honest.
Well, I mean that's not true. He Golden State. He was in
I don't
Finals MVP for two straight seasons. And
that
in
that team
Oklahoma
wasn't built
City,
around him though.
yeah. I mean, that's first take nonsense. It's like, but in Oklahoma
I mean, it
City,
just
he was winning 60 games a year and making the Western Conference Finals with Russell Westbrook, who I think is one of the most overrated players to ever dribble a basketball. So, um, I sort of grade the
hold on.
Oklahoma's.
Shit.
Yeah, you're frozen.
Okay. Hold on. Let me switch over to my hotspot. Son of a bitch. Bluetooth. 3.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, cool.
So we'll get in and out of this. I sort of regrade. I grade his Oklahoma City tenure better because I think
Mhm.
Russell Westbrook is
A
a
winning player.
not a winning player, and he got a lot of winning
Yeah.
done with Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook hasn't won anything ever since
Yeah.
he got that stat padding MVP year, and then I just don't I never thought
Bounced
Russell
around from
Westbrook
team to
was a winning
team.
player, and so I grade Durant's tenure with Oklahoma City a bit higher because he got a
No, you're
lot
right. That's
done
true. You're right.
with
You're right.
Russ.
That's true.
So,
Because he single-handedly destroyed the Lakers.
pretty much.
So,
He's just,
and I love Russ, but yeah, he just has. It's so weird seeing an athlete of that caliber with just so little IQ.
yeah.
It's like it's mind blowing
He's
how
one of the
he's a
dumbest
point guard
basketball
who can't
players
read the
on the
game.
court. On the court, I don't know him
I've ever
personally,
seen.
but on the court, he's one of the
Yes,
dumbest players I've ever seen. He just
correct.
routinely did the dumbest shit over and over and over again.
He's like if like remember that movie Like Mike with Bow Wow?
I do. I haven't seen it in so long.
I feel like he's like the real life version of like if you just took a kid and just gave him superb athleticism and made him 6'4",
Yeah,
that's how they would play basketball.
pretty much. Um, and so for the Celtics did some salary dumps, Drew Holiday and
Yep.
Porzingis. I don't really have much to say about that other than I hate the second apron thing where like teams are not even
Yeah.
trying to get better; they're just trying to dump salary. Um, I don't know. I don't
Yep.
know how the Players Association agreed to that, but I don't work for
Uh,
there.
yeah, CJ
I have my
McCullough's been
quibbles with the
getting
Players
killed on Twitter all
Association,
day. Yes.
but
They
who
lay
else?
down too much.
I don't think. I think Adam Silver should take a harder line on the players because I don't,
Mhm.
I don't think the players are good business partners. In the sense that
You can make that
um,
argument.
the way they mail in the All-Star game, um, you got again Oklahoma City was a championship last night and gives us nothing.
Nothing.
And it's just like so. I forget who said it, and I don't. I wish I could quote them, but it's like
Mhm.
all these new players want is something from the game, and they don't want to give the game back anything. And it just feels like
Yeah.
Um, they get a lot of money, they get it early and it's theirs and that's fine. But um, you know, in part like the reason why guys tried in the All-Star game previously is because, they needed that Gatorade deal. Like that
Yeah.
was like that supplement that was real money. But if you got 300
Yeah,
M's,
they needed that exposure.
you don't really need it anymore. So it's like,
Yeah.
I'm hard on Adam Silver, but I do recognize that he has some bad. Like, I mean, Kevin Durant is like one of the more visible players in the league, and he's just god awful
Doesn't
for
do
it doesn't do
Yeah,
anything. He's just
he's
crying and
awful for the brand.
yeah, he's terrible for the brand, and he's constantly unhappy, and he's moving teams, and it's just like, man, I don't
He's
know how you
everything they
fix
say
it.
LeBron is.
Yeah, I mean, but like even like I mean, we had this conversation. Maybe it was offline. Like LeBron and Steph are the last generation of
Yeah.
superstars that like get it and understand
Yeah.
that like there's something to carrying the mantle of
Being the face of the
being
league.
the face of the league, understanding that it's bigger than you, and realizing that you
Yeah.
do have to give the game back something. And I don't
Being an
blame them.
ambassador for the game.
I don't blame them for like the All-Star game sucking because they're 40 years old, 37 years old. Like they're supposed to show up and be,
And be Unk.
yeah, and just be unk. And these dudes just, I'll never forget the image of it was an All-Star game in Utah or somewhere, and it was just a god
Yeah.
awful. And they asked Shea what happened, and he's sitting there in like some fur coat saying, "Well, we didn't get paid for
Oh
this."
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I've said
Yeah.
it before, like
I think coolness is like
they
ruining the league.
think that they're paid that much because they're good at basketball, and they're not.
Yeah.
They're paid that much because people are interested in watching them play basketball on television. And if people stop
Correct.
being interested in that, it won't matter how good you are. Because I say
Hmm.
this before, how much does the world's greatest water polo player make? He's just as good
Right.
at water polo as you are as basketball, but no one gives a fuck. And if people stop
Right.
giving a
And
fuck, you
wouldn't
will
know who he
stop
was if they
making
was in this room.
correct. Like you don't make money just because there's nothing in the Constitution that says if you're good at basketball, you make millions of
You
dollars.
make a bunch of money. Yeah.
Because again, what does the world's, best volleyball player make? He's just as good at volleyball as you are at basketball.
Right.
But you make the money because people are interested in watching it on television. People are interested in watching it on
Correct.
television because the guys that came before you
And the
built this
storytelling.
product.
You like I think the problem is these a lot of players now today, they have no interesting stories. Like they're not a
Correct.
part of the story. They don't want to be a part of the story. They don't
Correct.
want to tell their
They
own
just want to show
story
up and
either.
hoop.
So it's like, oh shit, like, people talk shit about the players having podcasts. I'd have that and a player like give a shit and talk and communicate and promote the game than, doing the no offense, like yeah, than doing like KD should just like not well, he's a pretty good interview. But like, what I'm saying, doing the shit that certain players in the league do, but they just don't do interviews or they give interviews and they don't really give any quotes or they don't say anything interesting, you know.
Yeah, they just
Um,
they just want to show up and hoop, and because they
yeah,
think that that's why they're making a lot of money, and that's not why you make a
yeah.
lot of money.
And I
You
will
make a
say
lot
I
of
will
money.
give KD this. He at least will engage with fans on Twitter. Like that's,
Yeah.
at least something. So these dudes don't even do that
No, they just post fit pics and think that's marketing.
with captions and using lyrics and
Just
shit.
terrible captions. All right, what do you want to talk about Nick Cannon, man? What do you do?
So he did an interview with Bobby Altoff. I didn't want to say her name, but yeah, Bobby Altoff, who does the
What is she?
quirky.
Why can't we say her
She's
name?
Oh no, just I just don't like how she like made her name off like black voices and like won't shout niggas out. Like she got big working with like Funny Marco and Drake, and then like never shouted Funny Marco out and just like took his whole style and ran with it. Um,
I ain't funny. I don't care. I'm not funny, Markov.
yeah, fair. Shout
And
out to Funny Marco though. But anyway,
also,
so
I
yeah,
hate
she
when niggas
did.
do that because they act like they like she got big off of black voices, like she held them at gunpoint and said, "Do this interview."
Well, that's true. That's
You
true.
know, like I don't.
That's
It's like
true.
the same thing with Vlad, where they're
Um,
niggas act like they can't start a YouTube channel. Like Vlad did something revolutionary. Like, oh, he's a culture vulture. It's like he started a YouTube channel. You can do that. Vlad's pretty much the only
that's a good
interview
point.
that like comes prepared. I've seen um Charlemagne does, but like I've seen
Yeah,
other
Charlamagne's a good interviewer.
podcasts and hip hop interviewers, and it's just like, man,
So
what's your
what was that
favorite
song
potato
like?
chip in the studio? It's like, okay,
Yeah.
Vlad actually researches his subjects and
Yeah.
interviews them and gets things out of
No,
them. And
that is a
people,
good point because they give all these celebrities now like shows and shit and like they don't know how to interview people. Like Jennifer
yeah,
Hudson is a horrible interviewer. I don't know
yeah,
how she got a show or why she still has one. No offense to her. But I do love the Spirit Tunnel. Those are fun
yeah.
videos.
I
Yeah,
can't
so Nick
tell if she's a
Cannon,
good interviewer because I've never seen. All I ever see is a
that's how
dancing
you
girl in the
that's how you know.
hallway.
I watched a clip of it. I watched like 30 seconds of an interview she did with somebody and she just repeated everything they said with a higher pitched voice.
Yeah,
Like everything they said, like say the sky is blue.
yeah. The sky is blue.
What, girl? The sky is blue. You are
That's
crazy.
all
It's
Shannon
like
Sharp
that was
do.
the whole. Yeah, you're right.
Like
Those
it's
tweets
like
mocking him kill me.
I just the reason why I don't listen to the Adam 22 guy, so I can't speak on him. But like
Yeah,
I listen to Vlad interviews, and he's the only hip hop interviewer that I leave more informed. Like
yeah.
everyone else, I don't get anything out of these interviews. Like he's the only
Yeah.
one who gets his subjects to talk. And
I
I'm
think
sorry, I don't
Joe
care that
Budden's
he's
a good
white.
interviewer.
Who?
No, I feel you. Joe Budden's he's a good interviewer of artists.
I haven't ever listened to him. So
Well, he had his pull-up show, and then he does a Patreon, and on the Patreon, he'll have like musicians come on and ask him, he asks good questions and shit. That's how I got to know Doechii. She was on there. She's like super personable. Um, yeah, I think Joe Budden, I think is a good interviewer. Charlamagne, obviously. Uh, somebody I'm forgetting. Ebro, he's a pretty good interviewer.
I like
Nadeska's
Ebro.
really good.
I
I
like
like
Ebro.
Nadeska too. But you're right. That's true. But yeah, so Nick was on her show, and she was saying like, can you name all your kids or whatever? And he's like, man, that's tough. That's like, can you name 12 anything? And
Yes.
then he's like, and then he goes, he says, and I quote, like, can you name 12 states? And she's like, not really, but that's not personal to me. He's like, yeah, exactly.
They can't name 12 states.
I, yeah, I don't know. She's like, I couldn't, she's like, I probably could, but naming the 12 states is not something personal to me. And when she said that, he goes, yeah, exactly. And everyone was like, they're your children. Like,
That's personal to you, dude. Uh,
so
so
he starts naming his kids off, and he's stuck at 10, but he has 12, and he could not remember the last two.
because he hasn't seen them. It's
Right.
like,
And it just made me think of that video. Did you see that viral interview with Cam Newton where he's talking to that like relationship coach lady?
yeah.
And he's like, I just want God to bring me more kids. And she's like, but Cam, you just bring them into broken homes because you're not with them every day. You can love them all, but you can't live with them all every
Yeah.
day and give them the love they need. Like,
It's more than cutting a check, man.
yeah.
Cutting a check is good. You need to do that too. But like, you can't be two places at once. And if you have four or five different children in four or five different homes, by
Yeah.
definition, you're not giving someone all that you can give them. You
Correct.
just
And you're not
cannot be
with
two
any of
places
their
at one
mothers.
time. You just like it's just you can have all the you can, even if you had all the best intentions in the world, you can't be two places at one time.
Correct.
You cannot be there to make five different dinners in five different homes. You cannot be there to help five different kids with homework in five different homes.
Homework.
Like it's just
Make
not
five different
possible.
projects.
Yeah, like
Write
it's
five
just
different book reports.
like it's hard enough if they're all in the same home to give the
Correct.
adequate attention to five different
Right.
children, but in different homes, it's impossible. And that doesn't make you a bad person, but it's just
Right.
cannot be two places at one time. And you certainly are not doing great if you can't even name them. It's, Jesus Christ, man.
I'd ask her to cut that.
Uh, yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think so. Some of these interviews, well, Bobby isn't a journalist, so she probably does let people
Right.
cut them. But like, if you go, like, that's another thing, reason why they don't go to journalists because journalists don't let you get editorial control.